The following program is the work of the broadcast students at the British Columbia Institute of Technology. BCIT magazine features news stories from around the Lower Mainland, which were produced over the last 2 weeks. Responsibility for the content of the show rests completely with the students and their instructors.
Coming up on BCIT Magazine, Off Track, how the SkyTrain project is hurting Surrey businesses.
Also hitting the books, big changes at a Burnaby library.
And acknowledging the past, Burnaby honors victims of colonial violence. Hello and welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Gaby.
And I'm Elijah Ford. Here's what's happening around Metro Vancouver.
The SkyTrain expansion project along Fraser Highway in Surrey is having a big impact on local businesses. Reporter Elijah Ford looks at how some are dealing with a significant dip in customers.
Yeah, we're like rock stars here.
Okay.
You guys. Okay, so 11.
At Save on Foods on Fraser Highway, staff are discussing strategies for dealing with the impact from what's happening just outside the front doors. The SkyTrain extension project has been bad for business.
Definitely a lack of customers, which relates into a lack of sales. And when you have a lack of sales, everything dominoes. You get the domino effect in cutting back hours, higher shrink on our shelves.
Just across the street, the Dublin pub has had to significantly adjust hours of operation to make up for revenue losses.
We used to be busy all day, every day, and it's definitely put a huge damper on that. We've actually had to close our family side of the pub Monday to Wednesday because it's really been detrimental to our business.
And it's not just businesses feeling the pain from SkyTrain construction.
During its like peak times in the early mornings or the night times, it's so bad.
It's one of the busiest area in Surrey and Langley. And to be honest, when I drive in the morning or when I come back from work or something like that, there's pretty traffic.
I live not too far from here in the corner of Fraser Highway and 64th Avenue, where they turned 4 lanes into basically one going through an intersection. That's a pain in the butt.
Local residents and businesses are hoping things will get back to normal when the massive project is finished.
I truly believe once they get back, hopefully next year we see a reno, which will drive some people in and see some new programs come into the store.
The construction is expected to be completed sometime in 2029. Elijah Ford, BCIT News.
To another project now that is getting a much more positive reaction. Burnaby Library's Metrotown branch is introducing new upgrades to its public spaces. Reporter Gabrielle Rui shows us what library users can expect.
Burnaby Public Library's Metrotown branch has just opened up their first digital studio, complete with brand new desktops and recording booths for everyone to use.
We launched the Digital Studio, which is a very cool space where folks can use creative technology. So things like the complete Adobe Creative Cloud space suite for editing videos, editing photos. Also has a lot of recording equipment in there. And we also launched some newer equipment for that space that folks can borrow when using there. So it includes a MIDI keyboard, which is one of the newer items we have.
Library staff member Sogol Vahobsode also introduces the new expansions for the children's section and the Chinese literature section, which were just unveiled a few weeks ago.
So the new decoration in children's library, it's very good right now because before that it was very behind the section of the adult section, and we couldn't see the children's, and that was a security consideration for us. So, and also for the Chinese section, we decided because Chinese people come to our library very often, so we decided to expand that section a little bit.
All in all, it seems the library has some upgrades for this school year, and a lot of community members could very well benefit from them. This is Gabriella Rui, BCIT News. More news out of Burnaby as the city is acknowledging its colonial past. Jeannie Lynn reports from the survivors' flag recognition ceremony at City Hall.
A historic moment at Burnaby City Hall. Dozens gathered for the first ever flag recognition ceremony.
Thank you so much to each of you for coming and sharing today. It is a very difficult time, I think, for Indigenous people.
Mikhail Saskamoose is the city's Director of Indigenous Relations and Reconciliation.
The flag is a symbol of recognition of the children who never returned home from residential school, the children who did, their families and their communities, and to honor that legacy and to always remember that trauma and that colonial harm.
This ceremony is one of several events to mark the National Day of Truth and Reconciliation.
To me, truth and reconciliation is about honoring the history of Indigenous people in this country.
A time to reflect and look back.
Making sure that we all kind of like understand what happened in the past and learn from it.
Saskamoose says many issues faced by Indigenous communities still exist.
But it is very difficult because even in an extremely progressive city like Burnaby, there are a lot of people who don't agree with those values and those beliefs. And so it's an uphill battle, absolutely, and it can be exhausting. And sometimes you have to wonder, is a colonial bureaucracy the place where I can make the most change? I don't know.
Burnaby City Hall will light up in orange on September 30th, and the new artwork will be on permanent display. Jeannie Lynn, BCIT News.
Thank you, everyone. I felt goosebumps, and you
Talking robots on wheels have arrived at the University of British Columbia. As Jenny Sung reports, UBC is the first Canadian university to take on the pilot project. We'll answer questions from students.
With blinking eyes and wheels as legs, KiwiBots have made their way to UBC. But instead of delivering food, they are here to help connect with students.
KiwiBot has launched this and in a number of universities across the United States as a food delivery mechanism. We've not pursued that here at UBC yet. We've decided to kind of look at it from an innovation perspective.
Kelly is one of the new arrivals, and she was more than willing to speak on camera.
What is your name? And introduce yourself.
Hello there, I'm Kelly, KiwiBot's conversational assistant and an ambassador of the UBC bookstore. I'm here to assist you with anything you need related to the bookstore.
Students on campus are still getting used to the idea of Kelly and her other KiwiBot colleagues, Gray and Robson. Some are a little confused, still warming up to them, whereas some are really liking the new additions.
If you think that question is dumb, it's much easier to ask something inanimate, like ask a question to something inanimate rather than an actual person. But I like their little face. I don't know. I think there is a really good balance between automation and human interaction. But I think a little bit of robots, a little bit of people is a fun little mix.
Kelly's friends Gray and Robson are on campus to help out too. But their job is to hand out treats to whoever may want one. While Kelly, Gray, and Robson are only here for the month of September, part of a pilot program, there are hopes to make them a permanent addition and expand beyond to other parts of campus. If we're lucky, we might even get to see them on the field at campus sporting events. Jenny Sung, BCIT News.
Canada, along with Britain, Australia, and Portugal, formally recognized Palestinian statehood on Monday. The announcement came just a day before Prime Minister Mark Carney left for the United Nations General Assembly, where the war in Gaza is set to be discussed. Currently, 156 UN member countries recognize the state of Palestine.
Coming up after the break, ethics questions at UBC, what activists are saying about the school's investment policies.
And diversity in trucking, how Ottawa hopes to expand the look of who's getting behind the wheel. An activist group claims the University of British Columbia has investments in companies profiting from the conflict in the Middle East. Ayden Singh reports on how the group is escalating its campaign, and the response from UBC.
All opposed?
The first meeting of the school year for the Divest UBC Collective is a busy one. The group, responsible for last year's encampment at UBC, has sent the school's Board of Governors a letter. It accuses UBC of being complicit in the growing humanitarian crisis in Gaza.
So the University of British Columbia has a fiduciary duty towards us, the students, the staff, the faculty, the community at large, to act in our best interests. And part of our best interests is to not be profiting from genocide.
Lim is referring to UBC's investment portfolios, which the collective says profits from the Gaza conflict. Lim claims these holdings are in violation of an agreement that UBC signed.
So if you claim that you are a responsible investor under the auspices of the United Nations and you're holding companies that are identified as engaged in the crime of crimes, I mean the worst crime possible by the United Nations itself, how does that leave you with any integrity whatsoever?
BCIT News has reached out to UBC a number of times for comment, but has heard nothing back. The collective says the silence is typical. Organizers feel disrespected by the board.
And they listen to us, and then they go away, and then they come back and they say, okay, I heard you guys, and by the way, we did this. And it has nothing to do with what we had talked about in a 2-hour listening session previously.
A member of the collective is taking action to amplify the group's voice. Nathan Harrington is running for a spot on the board.
I understand why people feel like it's too far gone and how profit has maybe just destroyed all hope. But there's too many people that care too much for me to give up. I'm really trying my best to make this university one that will continue to be a sort of beacon of progress.
The collective also argued that certain board members had conflicting interests. Ayden Singh, BCIT News.
September is Suicide Prevention Awareness Month. Reporter Jeannie attended a workshop in Richmond and spoke with men about how mental health affects them.
Yeah, thanks for sharing.
Ted is an entrepreneur who is working hard on his mental health journey.
A lot of pressure is given to men because you're always told to, man up, suck it in, you're meant to be tough. But a lot of times, I think, the more you try to hold it in, the worse the outcome becomes.
He is mindful about taking care of himself, even in a society that often pressures him not to.
Even looking at cultural societal norms, right? So, being a Chinese Asian, I think a lot of times your family gives you a lot of pressure to do certain things. Looking at my friends who are Japanese, Korean, there's a lot of societal pressure from work, from hierarchy, from a lot of things.
September is National Suicide Prevention Awareness Month, a time to reflect on the importance of mental health, an issue that is often disregarded when it concerns men. Sunny Chopra is a mental health advocate who dedicates his work to educating men about the importance of mental health.
I always think, what were these situations, right? Where these men they didn't have someone to go to, they didn't feel accepted, or maybe they did open up and someone belittled them or someone made fun of them and they felt invalidated, and it was almost like, what I'm feeling is not good. Well, I'm not good enough, right?
According to Statistics Canada, suicide rates are 3 times higher among men compared to women.
And so I think, it's just the stigma of males needing to be tough, and also not acknowledging that mental health is important, right?
Statistics Canada recommends using resources such as hotlines for immediate help. Jeannie, BCIT News.
Well, at least you got it out there.
The federal government is investing $500,000 in an effort to make Canada's trucking industry more inclusive. The money targets barriers faced by underrepresented groups. Cohan Sassaman looks at why fewer Canadians are choosing careers behind the wheel.
Not a lot of people want to be out on the road 12, 13, 14 hours, sleeping in the cab of a truck.
In the 9 years Brandon Comtois has been a truck driver, he hasn't seen many women behind the wheel.
I feel like it's just been such a male-dominated area for so long that they might not feel comfortable.
Yeah, no, it's like 95% men.
Vanja Bilbia, who works at a professional truck driving school, says the cost of training can be steep, and for many, it's just one of several barriers standing in the way to entering the industry.
So it's 140 hours of training. They just put this in I think 2018, 2019. It's 140 hours of training, 93 hours is practical, so that's like behind the wheel in yard, and then 47 hours is classroom. It costs anywhere between 10 to 15,000.
In an effort to deal with the driving shortage, the federal government has announced funding to help trucking companies become more diverse and inclusive.
The big crash is what kind of in Humboldt that drove more precautions, because a lot of the drivers with their license at the time, there was like, still to this day, there's a lot of safety concerns just with the way they drive these larger vehicles.
Their goal is to make sure everyone has a fair and equal chance to succeed. Cohan Sassaman, BCIT News.
Reporter Cohan Sassaman joins us now. Cohan, what's driving the government to step in and address the shortage of truck drivers?
According to Stats Canada, the average age of a truck driver is getting close to retirement age. This is going to put a large strain on the sector as more people leave the workforce. The government also acknowledges that the current workforce is not very diverse. Gaby?
Can you tell us exactly how the government plans on spending this $500,000?
The government is starting out with an investigation to look at any barriers that could be standing in the way of people that do want to go into the trucking industry. Now, this investigation is just a starting point. After the investigation, they will make sure that they can look at what is found. Gaby.
Thank you, Cohan. Art can be a way to bring people together and form a community. Not everyone who is passionate can make a living from it. Therefore, many look for other ways to express themselves. Gabe Liessi went to a local artist meetup.
East Van Brewing Company is the place to be for artists and illustrators. They draw, sketch, and animate under the watchful eye of comedy legends and on-screen criminals. Madhuvanti Mohan started SketchUp in India back in 2014.
So I started this artist group where we could just have like informal artist gatherings and talk about the issues we were facing.
She moved to Vancouver 3.5 years ago and has found a similar community here.
It's just like such a relief to talk to other artists who think about the world the same way that you do.
They are passionate and dedicated to their craft, but many are not able to do what they love full-time. Najib Nayazi currently works as a coordinator for an animation company despite being an animator himself.
Not something that I find appealing. I feel like you're just working for a corporate, you're just like a machine basically. You're just another cog in the big wheel. And you don't have as much creative liberty as normally as I imagined you would get.
Nayazi uses this space to both network and as a creative outlet. He is not yet sure if he wants to make animation his career again.
The moment you make it a career, I feel like it changes. Like all of a sudden you're not doing it for yourself or you're not doing it for enjoyment, but you're doing it for other people. So the moment money gets involved, it becomes a completely different ballgame.
Mohan understands the importance of having the opportunity to be creative.
It brings me so much joy, and it's really nice to have this community.
The group meets every other Monday at East Van Brewing Company. Gabe Liessi, BCIT News.
Coming up, a junior hockey team's future at stake, how the players and their parents are affected.
And illegal streaming, why sports bars continue to utilize the service.
It's extremely important for people to stay healthy and to stay active as much as possible.
After a roller coaster season, Cloverdale's junior team is set to hit the ice. Reporter Elijah Ford spoke with players and coaches to find out how the off-ice turmoil is affecting many young athletes' careers.
Cloverdale junior hockey forward Zach Johns is training hard at practice, despite knowing he will be forced to find a new team just days before the regular season is set to begin. John says the news was heartbreaking for both him and his teammates.
Well, it's devastating, I'd say, is the first word that comes to mind. Playing in this rink is really special to me and a lot of our teammates. Grew up playing hockey here, it means a lot. And to get that privilege and that honor to play for your hometown team in their first franchise year is pretty special.
Since the PJHL announced the addition of Cloverdale, the team has spent the offseason building a coaching staff, renovating the arena, and recruiting talent. A day before the team was set to play their third exhibition game, the organization was scrubbed from the league's website with no notice. Head coach and GM Brian Gemmell says the players will be most affected.
Kids that are going to play for Cloverdale and what this means to them, and this is not the kids' fault. They signed up in good faith, believing that we were granted a franchise, which we were, and we operated in good faith, and for some reason now the board has decided and the commissioner of the PJHL has decided that they're not going to let our season start.
With the season canceled, 24 of these players will be left without a team. Some will be able to find a new organization, but many will have their junior careers altered in some way.
For the older guys like me, it's our last graduating year. We want to play somewhere this year, especially at this rink. It's pretty special. And then for the younger guys too, the rookies stepping into this league for their first time, it's pretty important that they play somewhere because they missed their minor hockey tryout.
Thanks to the effort of over 3,000 petitioners supporting the team, the PJHL was able to come to an agreement which allows Cloverdale to move forward with their season. Elijah Ford, BCIT News.
Illegal sports streaming platform Stream East was shut down recently, but some experts say other illegal websites will soon take its place. Reporter Ayden Singh asked why these streams are so popular and why they won't go away.
While many fans watched the first Monday Night Football game in local bars, those hoping to tune in at home on Stream East were greeted by this screen. This sports bar offers people a legal way to watch the game and vent their anger.
How accessible is streaming sports online?
Like legally? Legal streaming? Not very accessible.
I guess sometimes it's frustrating because maybe I don't get to watch the teams that I support.
You know what? If you're a real fan, you'll suck it up somehow. You'll make those sacrifices to other parts of your life in order to have those things. I have a second job to help fund my sports addiction come sports season.
Human kinetics professor Mark Slavich of Trinity Western University says for die-hard fans, the temptation is just too great.
It's a very real thing. And my hope is that we each just ask ourselves the question, okay, am I okay with doing something that I know is illegal?
Sports bars aren't safe from rising costs either. The Tap House Coquitlam says they spent nearly $30,000 to broadcast games in their bar, a bill that some pubs won't pay.
With the idea of more legal streaming and things like that, more places doing it in order to cut a corner, it is costing us or anybody that's buying these things every year that much more because the major companies are basically charging us for that illegal use, what they're losing in profit.
Slavich thinks that the solution lies with the league's unrealistic pricing.
Let's make these changes sooner rather than later before we lose these consumers.
Though he admits it may be overly optimistic. Ayden Singh, BCIT News.
Transformed into the unofficial heart of the city's skateboarding scene. The spot, known simply as the Courts, has rapidly grown in popularity. As Cohan Sassaman reports, it also shows how community efforts can thrive without city involvement.
At Britannia Courts in East Vancouver, skaters have turned an old set of tennis courts into a one-of-a-kind skate park. It's now supported by the community center, which helps keep the park running, from lights overhead to giving skaters an official place to call their own.
We're allowed to be here. It's cool too because there's lights here, right? So they know we're here. There's lights here, and I learned the other day they go off exactly at 10:56. p.m. on the dot.
It's approved by the city now, but it didn't it's not a child of bureaucracy. It's a child of skaters wanting a place to skate.
And so the community center allows it and really appreciates it, and it's really, really lovely to see what the skaters do there. I skate there sometimes too.
Unlike traditional skate parks that stay the same year after year, the courts are constantly changing as skaters build and move new features.
I think the creativity of the skaters make it special because it's always evolving.
For skateboarders, it's rare to be able to build their own spaces without being moved along. The park first started gaining momentum when a pro skateboarder and others began bringing in their own obstacles.
Around 2018, a pro skater, Chris Haslam, who is from this area, from Vancouver, and I think one of the artists who's up there near Commercial Drive, they came in here and they had brought some obstacles, so just like a grind box and some other things, and then just the fact that they had brought those in here and people started skating here. I think this is the best skate park in Vancouver. I've been to more or less every skate park in the city, and I don't go to any other one 2 days in a row or 3 days or 50 days in a row like I do here.
The Britannia Courts may not be an official Vancouver skate park, but it's become a legitimate space for skaters and a lasting part of the neighborhood. Cohan, Sassaman, BCIT News.
The popular digital music service Spotify has announced an upgrade that promises higher audio quality. Our reporter Gabrielle Rui went to Neptune Records, where they spin vinyl, to get reaction to the changes.
The smooth sound of vinyl. For some like store manager Ben Frith, it's a sound like no other.
The sound quality on Spotify is so bad compared to every other streaming service that I think, when people hear how great a song can sound, it only incentivizes people to hear it sound even better on vinyl.
According to Ben, everyone thought that the arrival of streaming services would mark the end of vinyl records.
A lot of people, when streaming first started, I think thought it was going to be the end of it for vinyl, but I fully disagree. I think it helps people explore and find new things that they want to get on vinyl.
Meanwhile, store customer Clark Bayet gives his opinion on Spotify's latest upgrade.
It could make people more likely to buy records, especially if you're a passionate collector. And if you like to collect records, then you'll know more artists to collect records from.
All in all, it seems that Ben and Clark are content with Spotify's effects on record sales. Upgrades on these streaming services encourage more people to visit record stores because they help people appreciate the different aspects of music more. This is Gabrielle Rui, BCIT News.
This has been your afternoon news. I'm Elijah Ford.
And I'm Gaby Rui. Thanks for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.